Iboan. This is episode number 23 of IME Kathabaha. Now, today's episode is somewhat different. Just like last week, we are bringing you an episode about a specialized genre of photography. Today, we are going to talk about medical photography. Now, when we were planning this episode, some of our friends, Tamil and Muslim friends, requested that we should do this in English. And just to accommodate their request, and of course to reach a wider audience, we decided to conduct this in English. And today I'm joined by our own IME lecturer, consultant eye surgeon, Dr. Yasmantha Peris, and of course our good friend, consultant plastic surgeon at the Colombo South Teaching Hospital, Dr. Yasas Abevikrama. Yasas, how are things?
Well, busy as usual, but then we are into organizing a major landmark event. I think the first major clinical photography workshop in Sri Lanka, organized by the Clinical Society of the Colombo South Teaching Hospital, Kalubowila, and the Association of Plastic Surgeons
in Sri Lanka. I mean, that's a precise reason why Yasas is here, and we, the IME, is participating as the resource organization. And Yasmantha is also here. Yasmantha, how are things? What has been happening?
I was a bit under the clouds because of the floods and all that in Hambantota. And I'd also like to welcome Yasas. We have been friends for almost 3 decades now.
Yeah, way too long, I guess.
Way too long, yeah. We are becoming old.
So, before we get on to the main topic about medical photography, there are a couple of announcements that we should make. And one thing is to remind you guys about our Roundtable Camera Club event. Now, Roundtable Camera Club is an organization that has, lot more members than the two of us. Myself and Yasmantha, of course, we are all members, and the people behind the camera, Mayu and Deshan, they are also members. And we, of course, have got Mr. Henry Karuna, Mr. Tiarachi, and so many other members in the club. And we are organizing our 4th consecutive World Photography Day event, which we have themed Theme Light over the span of all 4 years. And this year's event is we have named it Revelations. It's a photography competition, exhibition, and a seminar for school kids. We have sent letters to schools that we know of having photographic societies. But even if you haven't received the letter, and if you are watching this program, please encourage your kids to participate in this program. And the event is going to be held on the 19th of August, which is the World Photography Day. And of course, on the 20th, which is the subsequent day at the JDA Pereira Gallery, we are accepting entries. You can download the applications and the rules, regulations by visiting the Roundtable Camera Club website, which is www.roundtablecameraclub.org. Yeah, so let's get on to the topic today, medical photography. So what is medical photography? Now, if you look around, if you do a little bit of internet, internet search, if you browse around, you can find a few definitions about this. And of course, if you look at the thicker version of the Oxford Dictionary, and you can find another definition. So this is what Wikipedia tells us.
The lighter version.
Yeah, sort of. Medical photography is a specialized area of photography that concerns itself with the documentation of the clinical presentation of patients, medical and surgical procedures, medical devices, and specimens from autopsy. Now, there are a few keywords here. Medical photography is a specialized area of photography that concerns itself with the, now here's a keyword, documentation of the clinical presentation of patients. It goes on. And then, here's the other part. The practice requires a high level of technical skill to present the photographs free of misleading information that may cause misinterpretation. Now, here are some really important keywords. Of course, they tell us that you need to have some technical skills in order to avoid misleading information that may cause misinterpretation. Now, we all know that we don't want mistakes, misleading information as misinterpretation, especially in a field like medicine. The photographs are used in clinical documentation, research, publications, in scientific journals, and teaching. And another website describes medical photography like this. Medical photography is primarily used to record detailed and accurate images to assist clinicians in diagnosis and monitoring of patients' conditions, disease, and progress. Even here, this is a very lighter version compared to the Wikipedia version, but here are some, to record detailed and accurate. There
images.
Are some real important keywords here. And of course, the forensic photography has been around for a long, long time. And that's another branch of clinical photography. And then I have found something else that is really interesting while I was browsing around. Now, one job listing for a medical photographer listed the personality type, right? So it says, these are the requirements. And then they go on to, now, of course, this is not a Sri Lankan listing. This is from another country. It describes a personality type as a scientist. So you should have attitude of a scientist to become a clinical photographer.
And analytical mind to analyze.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, these are not for doctors. Now, these listings, they are not calling doctors. They are basically calling entries from qualified photographers who have got degrees in photography to become medical photographers.
Yeah, I think if you can remember in the medical student days, the surgical Bible is Hamilton Bailey and Love. So Hamilton Bailey, at one place, he states a properly illustrated image or image should replace 400 words. Oh, what you are trying to grasp or comprehend, why 400 words should be replaced by one single properly produced image. So that's the power, or the people that understood the power of an image at that time. About 30,
even those days. I mean, Mr. Hamilton Bailey, who was a surgeon, right? Probably hundreds of years ago. 100 plus,
he was
probably.
In the Royal
1900s.
1900s. Yeah, of course. I'm not talking about the bygone days. The images were illustrations. But now, when we look back at those illustrations, I mean, now we understand that these were highly influenced by the descriptions of surgeons and physicians. I mean, yes, they were correct. Yes, they conveyed so much meaning, but yet they were not photographs. They were drawn by artists who were being dictated by the clinicians. They say, show this way, this way, this way. So are they real? Are they real depictions of what has been happening, what was in front of them? But anyway, I mean, that's what we have.
That was a scaffold. Started something.
Exactly. Now, the first application of photography in medicine was in 1840. Now, this was just 1 year after the official beginning of the genre of photography.
The daguerreotypes.
Daguerreotype. Yeah. Actually, this was a daguerreotype. And the first person credited with producing a clinical photograph is Alfred Dorn.
Okay.
And now, getting into our main discussion now, that was a bit of a description about what clinical photography is and what the world thinks about it. But what is photography? I mean, forget clinical photography, right? What is photography?
Yeah, no, I think we can have to go to basics in visual science if you got to discuss that in some sort of depth. Now, as living beings or human beings, the data that we gather from the outside world will enable us to function properly or effectively. So
through our five senses.
Five senses. So out of five senses, the visual data predominates. About 90-95% of the data will be going into the visual cortex through the eyes. So
we are talking about, Ayaswantha, the total amount of data that brain receives. Out of that, basically more than 90 to 95% originates in the human eye.
So that happens continuously, non-stop, right? So what happens? That's the importance the nature has given to eyes or the visual images. So when we try to communicate, I think the communication would be more powerful, and it will be rendered powerful. That will be retained also for longer time if we use the visual cues to impart knowledge or impart communication.
So, and when people talk about the memorizing methods, prolonging your enhancing your memory, they talk about associating something with a picture.
Yeah, of course. Now, if you I think if you go into education nowadays, there are people, grand masters in memory. They use visual cues to remember hundreds and hundreds of digits in about 20-30 seconds. They are memory computations. They all rely on visual communication.
Yeah, so I mean, that is the importance of visual communication. So, what's the best modality of visual communication that we have our disposal today? Of course, it is photography, right? We have got these advanced cameras. And if we study this a bit, right, we can become quite decent visual communicators. Now, remember when we were talking about the definition, we talked about documentation. I mean, we don't need to reiterate the importance of documentation in medicine. And one of the best methods of documentation is, of course, via pictures. So, Yasas is here. He's a plastic surgeon. So let's ask Yasas, what's the big deal about photography? Now, in a way, I mean, this is a bit of a joke. As a Institute of Multimedia Education, we are asking someone what's the big deal about photography. But from a point of view of a plastic surgeon, right, a clinician, what's the big deal about photography? And yeah, what's your take on it?
Yeah, then let me start like this. They say how you differentiate a plastic surgeon from the rest of the doctors.
That's okay.
Rest of them carry stethoscopes while we carry cameras.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay.
And then over the years, during my career, I have taken thousands of photographs. But then when you attend some international conferences, some of the presentations of photographs, they really talk to us. And some of them don't.
Okay.
Then I wanted to know, how can I achieve this?
To make presentations like that.
Yes.
Okay.
To achieve the standards
Okay.
of the same quality. Then I started to notice that these photographs were just not happy accidents.
That's sort of, that's something that, we tell our students
Repeatedly,
all the time, right? I mean,
They are
these
not
photographs,
accidents.
you see these great photographs. I'm sorry, we are just, basically jumping from the middle, but I mean, we tell our students all the time that you see something great, don't think that this is a happy accident. Sorry, yes, please continue.
And the subjects of these photographs were quite evident visually, and the backgrounds were not competing
with the subject. Okay.
And actually they were enhancing the subject, they were complementing the subject. So and when you look at a series of photographs, say photographs of rhinoplasty, pre and post operative, you are seeing the same angles, same lining, same weaves in the series.
Okay.
So you can compare.
Yes.
Good for the comparison.
And funnily enough, when you look at the next series also,
that means you're talking about a different patient now.
Yes.
Okay.
The same photographers taking a series of different patients will have the same standard weaves. So it's very easy to compare and come to a judgment. So what are the outcomes? Are they good? Are they not so good?
Okay.
What's better about this patient? How we manage?
So the analysis is very easy.
It's very helpful to analyze the outcomes and of course and learn on a teaching
setup.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I was wondering whether there was a science to it.
Okay.
Than just taking the photographs. And then subsequent observations, asking friends, clinicians, then some of the medical photographers in Hamilton, New Zealand, during my work there.
At Waikato, right?
At Waikato Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Helped me to take pictures in a better way.
Okay.
So that I could express myself through my pictures. And that's how I got this interest in clinical photography. And then I was reading images with more intent and with an analytical mind. And I'm still getting fascinated with the amount of communication people are achieving with photographs and the innovations that they do every day.
So it's a spilling out of your medical field into other areas also, the genres.
Definitely.
Okay.
And then what I want is my team to know how I think about this and be able to take the same photographs with
the same intent, you mean?
yes.
Yeah, I
I mean,
think
you're basically talking about not about just you taking photographs, but your registrars, your senior registrars, your other team members taking the stuff while you are doing surgeries.
Yes, and
Okay.
it has to be a parallel effect.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter who takes a photograph. They have to be the same standard, same intent, and the same intensity.
Okay.
Carry the same message.
Yeah, so I think I can add now. Like yes, I usually my pet area is like the plastic surgery of the eye, like oculoplasty, where I have to do difficult surgeries on lids sometimes and the conjunctiva, where I have to have accurate record of what I'm doing. So if most of the time when I do surgery, I don't even can't remember that I have to take a photograph. So my junior has to take a photograph in the way I want without me prompting. I think what just tells is very important thing, that you have to have a separate person from you, other than you, who can do the job in the way you want, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course the advanced certificate course in photography that I did with IME really helped me to achieve to gain more knowledge and about the science and art of photography, and I think it helped me a lot. Helped a lot of us.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Okay.
that,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I mean,
and
we are blushing
and
now.
Then
So,
the other thing
yeah.
is that's why I thought we will the Clinical Society Kalubowila Colombo South Teaching Hospital and the Association of Plastic Surgeons thought inviting IME to do this for us
For the doctors.
for the benefit of all the clinicians, maybe consultants, trainees, or medical officers who have an interest in clinical photography to come and join us and get this vision of how to take the correct photograph.
So now, Dinil, what's the big idea like now? Are we going to make doctors become world class clinical photographers in single day, or what's the big idea?
Good. Look, I mean, it is like, look, I mean, it's a good question, and obviously, and to answer that, of course, it's a loaded question, rhetorical, quite rhetorical, and the answer is, I mean, just the same way that you guys have become, you an ophthalmologist, an eye surgeon, you a plastic surgeon, you didn't become, those in a day, overnight. I mean, becoming a world-class visual communicator is something like that.
You need world class effort.
Absolutely. I mean, to become anything or anybody of world-class level, or decent level, I mean, to become someone with a decent capacity and a decent ability, you have to put a decent effort, right? To become a world-class something or someone, you need to put a world-class effort. Same thing goes for visual communication and photography. I mean, nowadays we see, very poor visual communication. So the whole idea of this workshop that we are doing with the Clinical Society of the Kalubowila Hospital as well as the Association of Plastic Surgeons in Sri Lanka is to give them a start, give them a sort of a head start into this genre of photography, show them the basics, show them the ropes, very basics, how to start this, how to think about it, I mean, these are doctors, right? These people have got a very good scientific background, right? They understand, certain things about light, how the human eyes work, right? How to bring things together. So bring all these things together, right? Put them together and understand this craft, and then how to create a decent visual communication to say what you want to say the way you want to say it, right? And I mean, thinking about it, right? Just not medical photography, right? Take any other genre of science, any other craft outside of photography. Now, we don't have to teach photographers about becoming photographers, right? But why is it so important these days, right? I mean, we are going to discuss all this, but think about the opportunities that we would lose by not having this knowledge, right? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, now if you come to that, like, sometimes I heard, not in the medical field, like even if you ask our mentorship counseling, where when you submit a research paper or when you want to grant for research, you have to justify, you have to show what you are worth of. So you can, of course, you can cut and paste and put a paper. People reject that, but if you take a good photograph of what you're going to do, you will definitely get a good chance of getting accepted. And I'm sure you both of you know, you have worked overseas or wherever that when you have a job opportunity, people from all over the world will apply for that job, thousands of them, and you have to compete with your CV with so many other guys. So if you have a photograph report or sort of a profile of what you have done or what you're going to do, then there's a very high chance if
That you will land the job, right?
if you are a good visual communicator.
It has to be a very minuscule advantage.
Very edge, just
very
an
narrow
To get the
edge,
position,
yes.
right? Because, yeah, you are competing with so many people who have got the same level of, the knowledge, the level of skills, and what's going to differentiate you is just that
something,
little thing.
yeah, which
And
is not medical, it's not strictly medical,
It's
but
strict, not
Yeah,
absolutely.
but still all on a low.
yeah,
Yeah. And then, what you said about, the Mendes Vikramasinghe's work,
Yeah.
and what he says about grants and papers. And if you remember, we did a couple of programs about, visual communication itself. Of course, they were in Sinhala. I mean, if you go to our YouTube channel, you can find all those programs. I don't know whether you remember, Hemantha did couple of sessions. Mr. Hemantha Arunasiri, one of our faculty members, he did a couple of sessions, I think once at Rajarata and once at Wimber University. Now, this is not for photographers, he has done those. One was for agriculture and fisheries faculty or something.
Yeah.
Just about taking a fish out of water, putting it on a plate, not a
eating plate.
Yeah, exactly. But, then photograph it properly.
Yeah.
So they were very much worried about, not having right skills to take a picture of a fish.
Yeah, I think
Just to be included in a paper.
In the paper, yeah.
Right?
So according to the paper or your area, there are different sets of grammar that you have to follow through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you going to say and how you are going to show it?
Yes, then. So what do you think? Now, say we are doing a surgery or there's a patient and we take a photograph. This may be a very good high-end DSLR or could be just a camera phone. But isn't it now, what we take will not be the one that will be showing to our whoever the target group.
No, not at all. No.
So what do you think? What is the process like?
Now, if we look at what we are doing now, right? Now, three of us are sitting here, right? It's getting recorded onto camera, but the footage that we capture is not going to be seen by the people who are viewing this, right? It's going to go into a completely different platform. It's going to be edited, right? I mean, we are capturing this onto a sensor on the camera. And the people who are watching this, they are not going to see this on this sensor on the back of the camera. They are going to see this on their monitors, right? On their phones, whatever that they are using. The same thing goes for the photograph that we take. Now, if you take the photograph, you take it, the moment you download it into a computer, it is going into a completely different machine made by a different manufacturer with a different, operating system. And then when you're looking at it on a monitor that has got LEDs, lighting this up, red, green, and blue LEDs, which are different from manufacturer to manufacturer. And then you take this and put it onto a print, which is a reflective. Now, this is an illuminating surface where this is backlit.
Yeah.
And the print is
reflective type.
Exactly. I mean, it needs a different light source to illuminate it. And then, whatever is getting reflected off that print is what we are going to interpret. So the process is different. Are you going to see the same thing that you are seeing on this monitor on the print? The answer is absolutely not. No. So how are you going to maintain visual consistency? Now, this relates to something that you said before, Hesmantha. Are we going to teach these things within a period of 6 hours as in a workshop? The answer is obviously no. But we cannot. We cannot because, the visual, the science of visual communication, visual neuroscience, color management, all these things are different. But we will give them a start. And I mean, think about a surgeon, right? Just, pushing in an endoscope. And just before you guys do that, you white balance it, right? And why do you do that? Do you know the reason behind doing that? What exactly happens to the light source? or the interpretation of the light source by the system when you do that. Now, these are important things that you got to know this day and age. So when something goes wrong, you can quickly fix them without depending on so many other people. And talking about color, which is one of our, of course, pet subjects that we teach at IME. It's a vast subject which is related to photography, and it especially relates to a field like medical photography. Take this cup for example, right? And it has a particular color. So how are you going to reproduce this thing on a paper? Now, if you talk about a clinical condition, right? Some sort of a thing with an inflamed area, or in your field, as a burn.
Yeah, a burn, a skin cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
So the differentiation of color, the differentiation of tonality is going to be super important. And those are things that we need to understand when capturing these things. And not only that, this knowledge is going to help you to even illuminate it properly. Now, when we are teaching color management, right, and when we are talking about visual communication for professionals, we talk about these things, right? Would you use one particular type of a light as a dermatologist as opposed to a different kind of light? What sort of a light should you use in your clinic? Is there a disadvantage to using a cheap CFL bulb in your clinic if you're a dermatologist? The answer is absolutely yes. Don't use it. Right? Even that sort of knowledge you can gain by sort of diving into these areas. And one more thing, Asmant, you are holding that cup.
Yeah.
We were talking about color, but what about shape?
Yeah. So there are so many aspects, like if it's a lesion in a body, say it's an ulcer or a wound, common. So I won't know the size, the shape, the depth, the edges, the base, and so many things that we have been grilled through to study in an ulcer. So there are very few aspects in like exposure, light, color. So how are you going to do this?
That's before answering that, what you're holding as one, the cup, right? If you ask someone to photograph this, you can just drop it and photograph it like this, right? Take a picture of the cup. You don't think about it, just photograph. This is a real simple point.
Yeah.
But just do it this way. Suddenly you show that it has a handle, which this angle doesn't show, which may sound like very elementary. But then what about this? I'm not too sure, Mayu, what you're seeing through the camera, right? When I do this, the shape changes, right?
More detail.
Yeah, in a way, but it completely covers the height of the cup.
Yeah.
Now, the different aspect is highlighted. Simply changing the orientation in space. So these are things that you need to think about.
Consider.
Isn't this the base of having the standard series of photographs?
Absolutely.
Different angles and.
Yeah, you photograph this cup like this, and you are not going to take the next and from, let's say, from that particular camera angle that you are seeing at the moment. And if you somehow if you lift the camera, so it's going to be something like this.
Different perspective.
It's a different perspective. You can't compare that, right? And the sensor plane of the camera, how we are going to keep it, either parallel to this or perpendicular to this, whatever the orientation of this thing is, super important. And the other thing you said, Aismanta, about the ulcer. Remember those books that we used to look at. None of us are dermatologists, but the dermatology books.
Yeah.
Right? Certain types of lesions. I still remember looking at them. With all due respect to great authors who have written them, but we are not talking about them. We are talking about the photographs. They talk about certain lesion has a raised edge. You look at it, and
you don't
as
see it.
students, we couldn't figure. We were wondering, okay, is it raised? Okay, is it real? But now we know there's a way you can show a raised edge properly, visually. The whole discussion today was about clinical photography or medical photography. And think of it this way. Let's say you are a surgeon, you are a clinician. Let's say, I'm here with two surgeons, right? You are a surgeon, and you are consulting a patient, right? You have a series of photographs on your laptop, on your iPad, or on your phone, right? The cases that you have done in the past, right? You have the progress, right? If you when you are consulting a new patient, if you can show it to them, right? Just here's before the surgery, here it is, after surgery, and here's the recovery phase. Let's say it is some sort of a hip replacement, or some sort of a major surgery where rehabilitation comes in, physiotherapy comes in, right? During the process of recovery, these are the things you have to go through, and if you do these things, this is how you are going to recover. And perhaps if you don't do these things, this is how you are not going to recover, or this is how your recovery process is going to be prolonged. Right? And all these things can be shown very effectively by using photographs as opposed to just talking, right?
And that's the truthful way of communicating. And
most
of the educated patient expects to see previous photographs.
Now to add to that, there was some time in my work where I had to be in Singapore National Eye Center, one of the premier centers in the world, where when to go for squint surgery, the mother has to be shown photographs of a squint surgery before surgery, day one after surgery, how reddish eye looks. So she will know that is normal phenomenon to have that normal redness. How it would look after 1 week's time, how it would look after 1 month's time, and as you said, if there's a complication, the complication, how they would appear, how they would tackle them, and how they are going to take precautions so that won't happen. So all are done in there's a huge album-like thing where you take. This is about some time back. They must have digital ones now. So those have to be shown. So then only you can take the consent from the patient. All be sure. And one more thing. Now we were talking about medical photography. Now isn't it funny that we speak in a certain genre, but the general rules apply? You are ultimately lighting up the form, isn't it?
Absolutely. We are talking about medical photography. Basically, photography applied to a medical context. Right? Photography applied to an engineering context is, you can call it scientific or engineering photography. And when you apply it to architectural photography, it's a form that all of us know, we call it architectural photography. And in architectural photography, we talk about showing verticals as verticals. Right? And sometimes, if architect has shown, designed something, a horizontal bar, you've got to show it as a horizontal bar. Right? Maybe forgetting or compromising the verticals, right? So these are the things. As you said, Hesmanta, the basics of photography, right? You are an ophthalmologist, eye surgeon. The basic anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and pathology that you have learned, you keep on applying them every day to your genre of medicine, and you keep on applying it to your genre of medicine. The same way, the basics of photography applies to each and every genre of photography. Same goes for medical photography, and that is precisely, this is a very good segue for us to sort of end the program. And that is precisely what we are going to do on 22nd of June at this Photography in a Clinical Context program, the one-day seminar, one-day workshop.
And this is going to be held at the Gunawardane Memorial Auditorium at the 7th floor, Colombo South Teaching Hospital, Kalubowila. And I think it will be a great opportunity. We invite all the clinicians to not make it a missed opportunity.
Okay. So the date is 22nd of June. That is this month, in about 2 weeks' time. Colombo South Teaching Hospital. The start time is 8:30. Registration starts at 7:50. Please be seated. Please.
We start on the dot.
8:20. We'll start on the dot.
And then if you have a digital camera, we'll invite them to bring it.
Absolutely.
But if you don't, even bring your camera phone is fine.
Bring your camera phone. And if you don't have a camera phone, if you have a, somewhat older phone, it doesn't matter. Just turn up if you're interested in this genre. So this is organized by the Colombo South Clinical Hospital
Society,
Clinical Society of the Colombo South Teaching Hospital, and the Association of Plastic Surgeons, and IME. That's we are the resource organization. And in finishing the program, the stuff that we have to remind you is, of course, the workshop that we told you about, and just if you're interested about your kids getting participated in the photography competition organized by the Roundtable Camera Club, which we all are involved. We invite you to direct your kids to the Roundtable Camera Club website And if you want to find out about the courses conducted by the Institute of Multimedia Education, you can visit our website at www.ime.edu.lk. And next week, we are going to be back with our usual program with the discussion of the week, the critique of the week, the pictures of the week, image critique and everything, photographer of the week. And for you to send photographs and questions, you can upload them to Kathabaha Facebook group, or you can email them to kathabaha@ime.edu.lk. That is kathabaha@ime.edu.lk. Yeah, so we have come to the end of the program, and what we have to do is say bye bye and go. Before that, let's ask Dr. Yasa Sabevikrama. If someone wants to find you, how are they going to do that?
Yes, then I can be contacted at the Plastic Surgical Unit, Colombo South Teaching Hospital, Kalubowila, and of course at the conference email address cskalubowila@gmail.com.
Yeah, CS Kalubowila. That is CS Kalubowila is not a
Colombo
person's
South.
name. It is Clinical Society. It stands for Clinical Society Kalubowila@gmail.com. And what about you, Asmant? Where can people find you?
You can find me on IME website. I'm hardly come on other social media except Twitter. So,
All right, okay. And of course, you can find me at IME website, Facebook, and of course, my personal website and blog, struckbylife.com. We'll meet you next week with our usual program. Bye bye.